Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Cam Jennings coming at you on behalf of EpicConversions.com. And today, I want to talk to you about what this show's about. I want to talk to you about doing this show for 40 episodes now. This is the 40th episode of Thoughts on a Walk. And I just want to take a minute to talk about that 40 episodes in and that milestone and what this show is about. Someone was asking me the other day on Twitter, I think, hey, what? That's pretty good. I was saying 39 episodes into the show, and someone was saying 39 episodes, that's pretty good. What's your show about? You know? So when they said that, it's funny because I didn't actually respond to him, to be honest, because I was too busy. I didn't have time. I planned to go back and respond to him, but it's funny, like when people ask you what your thing's about. I learned this a long time ago when I was playing music and bands and stuff. If people ask you, you say you're in a band, and the next question is always, okay, what kind of music do you guys play? And then typically, when people say, what kind of music do you play? What does your band sound like? When people say that, typically, what you'll hear a lot of musicians say is, you'll hear them say, oh, we play rock mixed with a little bit of jazz and a little bit of, folk, acoustic, whatever. They'll throw a couple genres together and stuff like that. And what I found was back then, it was far more effective to get people to listen to our music, or to be far more interested in what we were doing. Because let's face it, in the world of music, there is no true need. Nobody needs to listen to your music. So in that way, it's actually a really good business to kind of study for marketing. But anyways, what I found was a really good way to answer that question of what kind of music you play or whatever, was it's funny because I started out combining different kinds of bands. I started out saying, okay, well, we're kind of like a mixture of Pearl Jam and Tool. You combine Pearl Jam and Tool, that's kind of us, with a sprinkle of Cake in there or something. And I don't mean cake like the food you eat, I mean cake like the band. Say something like that. And I realized that would pique their interest. Like, whoa, that sounds weird, You're not talking about musical genres. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't even understand musical genres. They get intimidated by the idea of it. There's so many different musical genres and subgenres at this point. People are just confused. They don't even know what it means. Another thing is, your opinion on a musical genre might be different than someone else's opinion on that genre. Like, you may think something's grunge rock, and someone else would classify it as indie rock. So it's like, they can get kind of mixed up anyways. But anyways, I eventually moved from just talking about different bands to talking about I take a band as an anchor point, right? I'd say, well, we're kind of we're kind of like Pearl Jam, but if you took Pearl Jam and you ran it through a meat grinder and put it in the worst car accident of your life, that's kind of what it's like. And I started saying stuff like that, and that was even more effective at getting people interested in the music, because that's the whole thing, getting people to listen, an honest listen, right? Not just listening because you're their friend or whatever and they're trying to do you a solid, but actually really listening with curiosity. That's the kind of response that would get people listening with curiosity. So anyways, what I realized is I kind of gotten out of that habit. I really related that to music and not to marketing and stuff like that. So when someone asks me what my podcast is about, generally it's like an automated response. Oh, it's about marketing. It's about online business and marketing. Total snooze fest. You know how many podcasts out there are about online business and marketing? Nobody gives a crap, okay? But if you said something like, oh yeah, it's about like online marketing mixed with like the worst car accident of your life, you know? Can you recall the worst nightmare you've ever had? Or can you recall the weirdest dream you've ever had? Mix that with like a sprinkle of marketing and online business content, and like that's what my podcast is about. That's a far better way to answer that question. What's your thing about, right? To get people interested, genuinely curious about what it sounds like. But this is my 40th episode of Thoughts on a Walk, and to be honest with you, it's been pretty effortless. I've been, you guys have probably heard me on this podcast talk a lot about Ben Settle. That's because over the last couple months, I've been studying a lot of Ben Settle. I've been reading a lot of his materials and stuff like that. So I'm kind of in that frame of mind right now, with a sprinkle of Dan Kennedy mixed in, because I've also been reading Dan Kennedy at the same time. And I guess you could say a hint of Delta Force, because I've also been reading this book called Inside Delta Force. So it's like, I guess it's a hodgepodge. But I was reading this book by Ben Settle called Breakneck Content. And he was talking about, I don't want to give away any stuff that's in his book. You just have to get the book from him and see what he's talking about. But something he was talking about in that book inspired me to do this particular podcast. Now, this isn't the first podcast I've done, but this is the easiest podcast I've done. Thoughts on a Walk has been very easy. It's also been the most consistent podcast I've ever done. I did a podcast a while back called One Step Away a couple years ago, and it was 5 days a week. Took the weekends off. Sometimes I struggled to figure out what I wanted to talk about. But I haven't really struggled with this one. This one's been pretty effortless, pretty easy. So, I guess today is just about kind of like celebrating that 40 episode milestone. And maybe doing another 40. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how long this goes for. Usually my benchmark has been 100 episodes for a podcast. And then after 100, usually I just wrap it up. Like, it seems like 100 episodes is kind of like a nice little bow. Nice little bow on something, you know? But the last 100 episode podcast I did was called Index Card Insights. And after I did that one, I thought, you know what, 100 is too long, man. I think maybe 50 would be a nice little bow. 50 is a nice little thing. Nice little package there. But with Thoughts on a Walk, I mean, this content comes together so easily that, yeah, I don't think 100 is going to be that difficult. If people keep on watching them, it doesn't really matter about people watching them. I just want to put, I want to put content out there in the marketplace that actually can help people a little bit, that people can get some entertainment value out of too. Just kind of keep my face out there in the market. So I enjoy doing stuff like this. I like podcasts. Honestly, I like audio podcasts better than video, but it is what it is. I'm doing this one on video. So, yeah, I think that's it. 40 episodes in, pretty good. Been a lot of fun, pretty effortless, 40 days, 40 episodes. That's it for me, guys. Hope you're doing amazing out there. Hope you got something out of this today. If so, if this resonated with you at all, be sure to get over to epicconversions.com, join my free newsletter. I like to think I put my best free content out by email, not by random walking video. So that's all I got. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you tomorrow for another episode, God willing. All right, peace now.